Hi, I'd like to pick up where I left off last time, which was the message of swimming in the current that we find ourselves in, which was really choosing what we've already chosen from the soul side of our existence, choosing to work with what our soul placed us in this life that we have today. The next message that I received was this: all pain is soul calling you home. All of our pain is soul calling us to itself to reunite with our spiritual essence. And that's the purpose it serves if we can see it that way. So at the time that I began receiving these messages, I was in a lot of pain, remembering some of the traumas of my very early childhood. And in the therapy that I was doing, I was very deeply in touch with what we call in the world of psychology my inner child, the little girl in me that was frightened, that was scared, that didn't like herself, that felt like there was something wrong with her, and that was experiencing great distress both in her heart and in her body and in her mind. And in listening to the call of that inner child and trying to work on the traumas that had happened to me, she became the doorway to my spirit in a way that no one had ever explained to me was possible before. I really thought at the time all I had to do was just heal the wounds of that little girl, and I could be what I called to myself a well adjusted adult. And that's fine. If that's where your healing work takes you, that's wonderful. But that wasn't the journey that for some reason my spirit asked me to make. That little girl inside of me became the doorway to my soul. So as I remembered what happened to her, I began to remember my spiritual connection. And I think this is happening for many people. I think it's possible for any of us that want to make that journey. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here talking to you about this today. The way the memories came back for her were very disjointed, as they are for many traumatic memories for many people. There were flashbacks of scenes, there were isolated body sensations that seemed like they weren't related to anything. There were very intense emotions that I couldn't pinpoint in time or space or in age. They were all disjointed because often traumatic memories are stored in a separate part of your brain from your conscious mind and your prefrontal cortex or wherever those memories are. And so when they came back at first in a disjointed way, and then they coalesced to make a picture of some of the things that had happened to me. Simultaneously, as I unearthed the buried memories of my childhood, I seem to be unearthing memories of my spiritual connection. And that's where this divine voice came in and began to speak to me about what my soul was doing in those experiences. They weren't punishment, they weren't bad karma. They were just the experiences my soul came to transform in this life into an awareness of my soul's purpose and path in this life. They were the fuel, as I said before, for the journey I was about to make. Just like you put coal or wood in an engine or gasoline, you burn that up to release the energy for the journey. Some of our experiences here in life, both positive and negative, but of course a lot of times we're focused on the painful ones, were the fuel for the journey my soul wanted to make here as Phyllis. There was a lot of doubt around those memories because they didn't come back to me through my rational mind and through an ordinary memory process. At the same time, there was a lot of doubt about the memories that came to me about my spiritual connection. But the key for both of them was that undeniably, no matter what I told myself about the doubt or the fear of recovering memories that didn't come through my rational mind, they had an element of truth that was undeniable. They felt true in every level of my being. And not only did they feel true, but they changed the way I saw my life for the better. And I would sit there sometimes and say to myself, you cannot heal from something that didn't happen. And I think that's really true. So, as much as that pain was difficult, it was the doorway ultimately to my connection to my soul. So when I say those words, all pain is soul calling you home, all pain was souling me, calling me home to myself in that time of my life. I believe that's true for all of us. If we see it that way, if we don't see it as punishment, if we don't see it as a failing on our part, if we don't see it as something we just have to get out of as quickly as possible, bury, get numb to, distract ourselves from, or deny, if we really ask ourselves to go through it and plumb its depths to the other side of a true healing process, I believe that access to our soul, spirit, and journey is available to all of us. That's what it was for me, and that's what I want to share with you. But I also want to share with you a larger dimension that is true for me today. At the time that these memories came for me, both of my inner child and my connection to spirit, that was back in the 90s, and I was very focused on my own personal journey. A lot of time has passed since then. A lot of healing has passed since then. And the words, all pain is soul calling you home, have a bigger meaning for me today. All pain is soul calling us home, not just my pain, not the pain of the people that are closest to me that I care about the most, but all human pain can be seen in the same light. The pain of dispossessed people, the pain of people in war, the pain of people who are exploited, the pain of people who are hated for the color of their skin or their gender or their religious orientation or their economic class. Worldwide human pain is now the pain that is calling me home, and I hope is calling all of us home to our true selves, to the contribution that our soul can make to love one another, to share its wisdom, and be a contribution that we individually came to make. Mine is through this divine voice and the spoken word and the books I've written to share the message that I've gotten with you. Yours may be completely different. Spirit may be calling you home to your art, to your love of animals, to a relationship with nature, to your parenting, to the way you run your business, to running for office. It may be calling you to your own individual contribution. But when all pain is soul calling us home to our true selves, then we find what that soul contribution is that we came to make. And I'm here to love and support you on that journey in your life, just as I have been loved and supported to be on that journey in my life. Thank you so much, and I hope you'll tune in to listen next time. Thank you so much.